If you're already in the science community or you've been paying attention to this project, then you'll be aware of the fact that we were planning a token migration. And today's video is all about that migration process. We've made it more official now. We actually now have a date that we're going to be doing the migration, or at least starting the migration as well. So this video is going to be specifically about the token migration, certain steps it will take. And of course, there's going to be more informational videos coming out as we progress through this. But for those of you that are on the official accounts, this is from our X page. You can come here and check out this thread. It walks through a bunch of stuff here. But I'm going to go through some of this stuff today here as well. And I guess let's just go ahead and get into it. So this is our proposal. This is the plan that we're going to go through with. Starting on, again, this is going to be January 27th, 2026. That's when it's going to begin. But let's get into it. So first things first, why we're migrating. As those of you that are aware of the project know, this is a community takeover, a CTO of a previously launched meme coin. So it was originally launched on pump.fun, and I am not the person that originally launched the token. Okay, so one big issue that we have with that is the underlying metadata. So I'm going to show you what that means here. If I go to our token here, this is on SolScan. You just type in our copy the token address, come to SolScan, and if you go to this metadata, and this is an example of what I mean here. So if we look at this, the name's fine, symbol's fine, description's even fine. I can't change the image associated with the account. I can't change the Twitter handle, the Telegram, the website. This is all from the original launch, and I have no authority to change that stuff. So considering that I'm the one that's developing this project, it's very imperative that I'm able to change this information should I need to. Not to mention, if we become a very popular meme coin, the original person that launched this would be able to come in here and change this information themselves too. So it could completely hijack the project should we get to that situation. And that's just something I want to avoid entirely. So that's the main reason behind doing this migration. Not to mention, whatever with pump.fun, but I'm just, not a fan of being tied to any specific launch pad. I think that we're going to be branching out well enough beyond the meme category that I don't want to be tied to any meme coin launch pad. So that being said, this is why we're migrating. That token authority, that's a big one, not being able to change the metadata, upgrade the picture, that kind of stuff. Long-term risk, which I just outlined there. And the barriers. So this migration is aligning responsibility with control. Okay, I want to be responsible for all the underlying data that comes with being the developer of the token. Okay, so this is a structural upgrade. This is not something that is just cosmetic. We're doing this for a reason. There's going to be some volatility along the way. There's going to be some, I'm sure there's going to be some hard times just in people having issues with certain things or whatever else that come. And I just want you guys to know I'm not doing this for no reason. This is, something you don't necessarily have to do if you don't want to. You can stay in the old Signs token. That's perfectly fine. But just know that the ecosystem that I'm building out that is originally intended for this token is being moved to a new address. So whether you opt in or not, that's entirely up to you. But we're moving on either way. So it's essentially this, what this is not a forced action again. You don't have to migrate if you don't want to. But the tokens that you have now will not be used to access the site and everything that I'm building out around it. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so every holder maintains complete control over their participation decision. This is a community-driven initiative, and for those of you that are tapped in and been giving me feedback, I know that you guys are aligned with this too. But I just want to go over some of these details while I'm thinking of it, and while we got a little bit more to give out. So here's how this migration is going to go. There are two different options. There's a protected, which has a certain set of user protections, and there's unprotected. We are going to go with protected, of course. We're going to do a minimum 10% of the total supply. So let's say there's 1 billion tokens, 100 million of them would have to migrate for this to be successful. So if we don't have at least 10% of the participation, then the migration will not be happening. And you might think that 10% is a little bit low, but just consider that there's currently about 45%, something like that, in a liquidity pool. So not being held by private users, so therefore not able to participate in this anyways. So that's why we went with the low threshold. And again, migration only proceeds if that threshold is met. So if we only have 9% of the token migrate over, then the migration will fail. If the migration fails, and I guess let me explain a little bit how the migration process works. So starting on January 27th, you'll be able to go to migrate.fun's page and exchange your tokens that you hold now, these tokens. From There Will Be Signs, these tokens here. You'll be able to exchange them 1-to-1 for what is called MFT. So it's a migrate fund token. It's a representation of your claim to the new tokens. Okay, so during that 14-day window, you go exchange your current signs for MFT. And then there is a 90-day period where people that are late to the migration can also go through and claim. So before we get to the 90 days, let's work through what happens if this does not work, or if the migration fails. Okay, so if we don't meet this 10% threshold, the migration does not go through, and the people that have elected to migrate their tokens will be refunded in Solana. Okay, because what happens here is everybody that migrates during that 14-day window, those tokens will then at the end of that period be sold on the open market and converted into Solana. Okay, and what happens is, if the migration goes through, all that Solana that's used, or that Solana that is retrieved from selling the tokens, will then be used to seed the new liquidity pool. We'll pair it with our own tokens, our new tokens, and it'll be the new liquidity pool. So in the event that this fails, the token sale goes through anyways, and you're reimbursed in Solana. This would kind of be like the worst case scenario, I think, for the us as a whole, just because, the people that are here actually trying to migrate, trying to stay in tune with everything, would be forced to sell out of their tokens. But again, we'll cross that when we get there. I think that we're going to be fine. But this method here, doing the protected, this ensures there's no forced outcomes, and we must reach this consensus in order for migration to succeed. Okay, so here's why we're doing a protected migration. The protected migration would, allow for that fail-safe in case we don't meet our threshold. On top of that, there is after the initial 14-day migration window, there is an additional 90-day window for late claims to be processed with a 5% fee for being late. That same 90-day window is not available with the unprotected migration. That is only for the protected migrations. So that's why we're going to go that route. Not to mention, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to have trust in the code, in the infrastructure itself, versus just pushing through an unprotected migration and you just having to have trust in me. So that's why we just elected to go protected versus unprotected. A lot of the optics matters very, very much, and I get that. So that's one thing that I really want to avoid, is having any distrust throughout the community, throughout the broader community as well. So again, here's the window for the late claims. You have a 90 days to claim after that 14-day period. This is part of the protection too. No admin has access to the unclaimed tokens during this 90-day period. Okay, this is all completely automated, ran by smart contracts, and this gives all holders ample time to act. You'll see a lot of announcements, a lot of stuff like that over the next couple weeks. And if you miss it, again, there will be recourse outside of this, but I don't think you'll miss it. Again, let's look at this note here. The main migration is going to take place during this 2-week window. After that 2-week window is up, that's when this 90-day window opens at 95% of the current value. Cool. And then again, we'll get into after our 90-day window. This is a grace period that we are doing as a team. I'm honoring this myself. But here's how this is going to work. If you miss the migration, you missed the 3-month window after the migration, there will still be another 3 months where you can come claim your tokens, but it will be at a reduced rate. Okay, month 4 will be 75% of the original value. So let's say you have 1,000 tokens, you would receive back 750 tokens. Same for here. Month 5 is at 50%. Month 6 at 25%. I went over that already, but just to be sure. These will be handled by case by case basis. There will not be necessarily something set up where you go swap your tokens automatically. You'd have to reach out to me, send me the transaction hashes, whatever of your wallet, and we'll figure stuff out there. So whenever we go through this migration, this is one thing that is very important for how we move forward. Okay, so let's take a look at some numbers here. So there are, let's say 965 million tokens. Okay. Let's say 10% of those, this would be like the supply that we have to hit. The 10%, let's say 10 million tokens. That's all that, I'm sorry, 100 million tokens. That's what we would need for the migration to go through. Okay. So right now there are about 420 million tokens in the liquidity pool, and these are paired with Solana. So whenever we go to do this migration and all these unclaimed tokens become available, part of our commitment here is to get back to these liquidity numbers. So we're going to make sure that we have the same amount of liquidity available now as we do whenever we migrate. That's going to be our first priority. So we'll repair more Signs tokens with some Solana, put it in the liquidity pool to make sure that we restore our liquidity to the current levels. Okay, so then this is where we get into the unclaimed tokens. Okay, so and don't get me wrong, like I'm willing to work with people on this stuff. I get it. We've been around for over a year. A lot of people probably either forgot about us or they're just inactive. Another thing here is that bot controlled wallets. So if there's different bots out there using the token, they might be holding some. They will not obviously migrate either because automated wallets are not configured for migration. So understandably so, there are going to be people that miss this migration or just are not paying attention. So this is kind of what we're looking at here. So the first priority is restoring the liquidity to current levels. Then we'll set aside some allocation for the grace period. And then finally, we're going to reallocate the other supply that we ended up getting back. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. So 35% of whatever that remainder is going to go to our team wallet for ongoing development and operations. That helps me out because I've been doing this all myself with this. The idea here is not that I'm not going to be selling tokens to do the development stuff. I'm going to continue doing things that I'm doing now. I mean, my overhead for this is, maybe $200 a month, something like that. So it's nothing crazy, but at some point, whenever we go to do more developmental things, maybe get audits, maybe upgrade some of the services that I'm using so that we can build better stuff. That's going to be what this wallet's used for. And these are all 3 multi-signature wallets that myself and my 2 teammates have access to. So these are all controlled by the team, but they do have different designations. So Team Wallet is for development and operations. The Treasury is for long-term ecosystem funding. So if there's something that the community wants to participate in or get involved in, maybe we buy certain tokens with it, or we do certain DeFi activities, that kind of stuff. That's going to be the club treasury. And then 30% here for the community wallet. And this would be for giveaways and incentives. So then we'll get into here. This is important too. No new tokens are minted. The total supply is not going to increase. So this supply you see here, it's not going to be above this. We will not do that. I'm not diluting our supply. This is not meant to be a supply grab or anything like that. We went through the whole motive behind it. So it's, pretty self-explanatory at this point. Yeah, so I guess let's go ahead and go through these. Long-term ecosystem funding, transition towards DAO governance, independent from day-to-day operations, strategic initiatives and partnerships. Yeah, and this would be all stuff that the community votes on. That's what this would be allocated for. Club Treasury, right there. Team Wallet here. Pretty development, infrastructure, marketing, and growth. Very good. And then the community wallet for giveaway incentives, community initiatives, and growth campaigns. Cool. And then whenever we go to start doing these things, and even now, like these wallets are publicly available. So the whole idea here is transparency while we're doing this switch, what the results are going to be ideally, and how you can remain in touch with what's going on. Okay, so let's see. Right now, governance, I don't think this stuff really needs to be mentioned. I mean, you guys can read through this document if you want to go through this stuff too. And this is what a successful migration would look like. Strengthening the protocol with these clear advantages here. So yeah, so that is the idea. We're gonna be starting this on the 27th. So that is 2.5 weeks from now. Okay, so again, if you want to come to the Science X page, it is a pinned post here. You can read through this whole thread. It goes over some of the stuff that I just talked about here too, but yeah, this is the big thing we got coming up. So if you have any questions about this migration, and again, I'll have more videos and stuff like that coming out, kind of explaining how to do things. Whenever the migration becomes live, I'll go through and do a video of us. I'll go through with one of my team wallets and show this process so you can see what it looks like to go do that. But it's gonna be pretty simple. We'll go to migrate.fun. You just connect your wallet, exchange your tokens there, and then whenever the claiming window opens, so after that first 14 days, the claiming window will open and you can go claim your tokens. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but we'll get there whenever we get there, and I'll make sure to make a video about it whenever the time comes. So if you have any questions in the meantime, you can feel free to reach out via X here. You can send me a DM. You can get on Telegram here in our Signs Club. You can get on Discord, wherever you want to go. But you can go ahead and post your questions to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll see you around. Peace.